All right. Hey, look, I guess it's a good way to transition into the other team that we need to talk about, moves that they need to make. We've
Like
been
that, the other team.
the other team. All right.
Yeah. So
Ravens.
it's a little more, I don't want to say dire because obviously the Ravens are a better team than Carolina, but I just want to go over real quick their free agents. Um, they're sitting at 8.7 million in cap room right now. And hitting free agency, they've got Calais Campbell,
Mm-hmm.
who is 36, so he can go.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Williams, who is 33, so he can go.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy Watkins can go. I don't care how old he is.
I don't
Pat
care. Yeah, I
Ricard,
don't care if he's 22. He can
Pat
go.
Ricard, Pat Ricard can go, but in a nice way because Pat is the man.
Yes,
But they just,
he's a
they just
baller.
don't need him right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Jimmy Smith only played 27% of the snaps. He's 34 years old. Obviously, he said multiple times he's retiring if they don't bring him back. Go ahead and let that man retire.
Yes.
Uh,
Respectfully. Great
yes,
career.
yes.
Super Bowl champ.
Great Ravens.
Yes.
But it's time to go. It's fine, man. Justin Houston, 33 years old. You can let him go. Chris Board, 27, special teams guy, depth at linebacker. You can bring him back.
Yeah.
LJ Fort, 32 years old, coming off a torn ACL. He can go.
Mm-hmm.
Latavius Murray can go. Josh Johnson can go. Anthony Levine already retired, I believe.
Yes. He's on the coaching staff now.
Yeah.
Or scouting staff, I should say. Scouting, yeah. Josh
Bynes, who's 33 and came in and saved your linebacking core. I mean, I guess he can come back.
He can go.
Since y'all don't have any other answers at linebacker. So
well, let me say this. If you're not going to do anything, right, bring back Bynes and LJ Ford. At least I know they're going to tackle. Right?
Devontae Freeman can go, obviously. Justin Ellis, 32, has never been able to even to crack that starting lineup. He can go.
But we might need him for depth.
But he's not good depth, so just let him go.
Yeah.
Tony Jefferson, they brought him in late. I don't know what they're really feeling about him. He's 30 years old. He played well enough.
He did all right. Yeah, he did all right.
So that one's kind of a toss-up, I think. Pernell McPhee, 34 years old, he can go. Eric Tomlinson, I mean, if he's cheap enough, he can stay, right? Like, whatever.
Yeah, he's one. Yeah.
Left tackle David Sharp, 27 years old. Now, obviously didn't play a whole lot. I think he's kind of he's a bottom of the roster type of player. Again, if he's willing to come back for very cheap, go ahead and bring him back. Anthony Averett, I think there's not much chance they bring him back. He played a lot. He's a pretty solid corner. I know it didn't really look like it a lot of times this year, but I think he's going to get paid more than what Baltimore really wants to. And then you get into a lot of exclusive rights free agents: Christian Welch, Khalil Dorsey, Tyler Huntley, Cologne Castillo, Geno Stone. They're all going to be back. Chris Westry's a restricted free agent. He should be back. Tyson Williams, exclusive rights. Aaron Crawford, interior D lineman, he should be back. Nick Moore, the long snapper, should be back as well. And then you have a couple of big-time free agents, relatively big-time, Deshaun Elliott and Bradley Bozeman. I would like to see Deshaun Elliott back, and I don't think that they should pay Bradley Bozeman at all.
I agree. I'm gonna read some of these comments because there's a few comments here.
Last guy, Ataro Alaka, a
Alaka.
linebacker. He's a restricted free agent again, so he can be back if they want him.
Yeah. Let's see. Tony Hendo says EDC said we have good O-line prospects on campus. Yeah, I mean, look, they're always vague about this stuff, right? I mean, they're obviously looking at some players. Like they understand that they need to upgrade, so you gotta take that with a huge grain of salt. Manuel's Call of Duty says we trade Giro to the Jags for NFTs. That was funny. Let's see. Raven Ron wants to bring back LJ Ford. Okay, but again, we shouldn't be sitting here saying bring back LJ Ford and Josh Bynes to save our linebacking core. Coach up our linebackers. We drafted Patrick Queen in the first round. We drafted Malik Harrison in the third round. And if you think we need more, all right, go. We have 5 fourth-round picks. Get one then and coach up your players, right?
And I'm not, just generally speaking, I'm not a fan of bringing back guys who were not great players to begin with when they're older and they have a significant injury. Right. He's been a journeyman type player. and he's 32, and he got hit with the torn ACL. I don't know that you're going to get the LJ Fort back that you're remembering.
Right. So, I mean, you're going to have to – I believe in Patrick Queen. I know people aren't high on him, but I think he played much better towards the second half of the season. I'm fine with Patrick Queen. Malik Harrison, man, you're going to have to figure it out. Like, get more out of him or just, draft another linebacker later, right? Third or fourth round, get a linebacker there or get somebody else in free agency. But, man, like, we can't keep just hold on to these guys because, we feel comfortable with them. That's how we get the team that we get now that's just average, right? Mm-hmm. Let's see. Ravens Online says leave Calais Campbell where he is. Yeah, free agent, right? Yeah. Like, we can't bring him back. I mean, again, he played well, right? I thought he was probably our most consistent player on defense last year. But how much do you want to pay for that? You know what I mean? Like, if he comes back on a cheap deal, I guess. But I want to see us instead of spending $7-8 million because hey, that's a good bargain deal. Put that money on the offense. If we take care of everything that we need to take care of on offense, then I'm okay with doing whatever on defense. But offense is what needs to eat first. So let's start there. Bradley Bozeman, I do not want to pay Bradley Bozeman, and this is no disrespect to Bradley Bozeman, but there are better players out there at that position. Ryan Jensen is a free agent, and if Tom Brady is not coming back, I think he'll be open to other offers. Right? Yeah. I thought Tom Brady was going back, and I thought it'd be a done deal. Everybody's going back, but Tom Brady not going back. Ryan Jensen is going to be open to offers, and if you're willing to spend money on Bradley Bozeman because he's not going to come back for cheap, spend that money on Ryan Jensen. That's a better center. Or if we're looking at Tyler Linderbaum in the draft, right? I think that's going to be a better center than Bozeman. So let Bozeman walk. Who else do we have? We don't have a lot going on the offensive side. Obviously, well, Villanueva isn't a free agent, but he
right. So that's what I was going to say. looking at the cap hits here, at the top for Baltimore, obviously it's better than what we saw in Carolina, right? Lamar Jackson at 23, Ronnie Stanley at 18.5, Marlon Humphrey at 17.5, Marcus Peters at 15.5, right? So at the very least, those are all good players.
Yes,
very good players.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd like to see some of those numbers be a little smaller, but whatever. Mark Andrews at 9.6, and then Villanueva at 9.2, Tavon Young at almost 9.2 as well. Both those guys can kind of go, right?
Like Tavon Young is you're not wrong, but it's hard because he played well this year, man. He was healthy this year, and I don't like getting rid of good players, but I hear you.
He's the third corner.
Yes.
So now you're talking about paying over $40 million just in those top three corners.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And again, this is where coaching comes into play, right? Mm-hmm. If we're supposed to have a good coaching staff, and we believe in them, they got to be able to do more with less. And you're not doing with that much less. Like, you have your top two corners, and they're damn good corners, right? Yeah. So if our third corner is a little bit weaker than Tavon Young, it is what it is. And they shouldn't be, right? You should be able to bring in somebody and fit that role. So, yes, Tavon Young, although I like him, and I would love to keep him because I think he played really solid. He has some unfortunate injuries over the years, but that happens in football sometimes, man. But he looked healthy and he played well. I'd love to keep him, but at that price, go ahead. This is a sacrifice you have to make sure Lamar has what he needs on that side of the ball. So yeah go ahead and cut him. Villanueva, why are you still here?
Nick Boyle's coming in with a cap hit of $7 million.
Yeah, he can go
which is ridiculous for your backup tight end who is just a blocker, but he can't go because you save no money cutting him, literally zero. So he'll be back. Good news though, you can save $2.5 million cutting Miles Boykin.
Yeah, he can go.
So there you go.
Yeah.
You can save $1 million cutting Josh Oliver.
So that's another one though. Will they cut Miles Boykin, or are they?
I think they will.
I feel like they're a little hesitant to let him go. I think they want to wait until after training camp or during training camp just to see, because what they don't want to see happen is he makes that leap this year and it's like, man, we cut him too soon, like they did with Waller, right? I feel like
but he doesn't have the kind of issues that Darren Waller had, at least not that we know of. So
right.
I don't think there's going to be any danger of a leap.
I don't think so
Right.
either. But I'm just telling you, I think that's what they're thinking.
Right.
Because otherwise, why didn't you cut him already? You know.
Well, I mean, there was a spot for him this year, but if you go out and you bring in another wide receiver, if through the draft or whatever, there won't be spots. I would honestly, I'm expecting him and Prochet to get cut this year.
Man,
Right now, you've got Hollywood, you've got Rashad Bateman, you've got Devin Duvernay, you've got Tylan Wallace, right? So if you bring in a veteran receiver, which is something that they do pretty much every year, and if you bring in somebody through the draft, that gets you to 6.
yeah. Shout out to Michi Bad. He says PQ needs to get his weight up and he'll be fine. Maybe. Yeah. He needs to build his strength a little bit. Actually, tackling the second half of the season, he was fine at tackling, and I love his instinct. I think he was just he wasn't. I know he's a little hesitant at first, but like they switched the position, he focused on the run, and I mean he was in the backfield often. Coverage is where he needs to kind of pick it up a little bit, being able to diagnose those plays a little bit. But I think it's all going to come together for him. I'm not worried about Patrick Queen. I'm really not. Yeah. Ray Ron says, "Bring back Earl." Look, he's available.
Yeah. So for the Ravens, with what we looked at there, obviously they're going to be thin on the D line, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to be a little bit thin in the secondary at corner, but the focus has to be on fixing the O-line. They have to get a right tackle, they have to get a center, and they have to solidify left guard. Now, if you say, hey, we think Ben Cleveland's the guy, or we think Ben Powers is going to be the guy this year, fine. But you need a center that can play, and you need a right tackle who can play. Yeah. They have Jawan James right now. You don't know what Jawan James is at this point.
Right. No, I agree. And I've seen what people are saying out there. Man, I tell you, man, like Raven. Look, I call them the gatekeepers. Those Raven gatekeepers on Twitter, man. Like on one hand, they'll say, yeah, we gotta make sure we have an O-line for Lamar. That's the most important thing. And then they put out their mock draft, and it's all defense. And then you got people talking about, we can get him a tackle, or we can get him a guard in the 3rd round. Mm-hmm. That's not protecting him. Or right. Some people will even say we're good at right tackle because we have James and we got McCarry there. It'll work itself out. That's exactly how we got into the situation that we were in this year.
Yeah. And listen, if that's your opinion that you're good at right tackle because you have Jawan James, then you're good at edge rusher because you have Owe and Tyus Bowser and Dalen Hayes. So I don't want to hear it.
Exactly.
If that's your opinion, then you're good at safety because you got Chuck Clark and Brandon Stevens, who you just drafted in the 3rd round. You got Geno Stone and Ardarius Washington backing them up. Don't want to hear it.
Exactly. Absolutely. And don't talk about Sauce Gardner. We have 2 all-pro caliber corners. Yes, I know Marlon Humphrey had a down year. John Hazeb Ali's in the chat saying we overpaid Marlo. No, we didn't, man. He had a down year. It was just a bad year all around. And I think I put a lot of that on Wink Martindale. Mm-hmm. Everybody played bad. Everybody. Yeah. Like you said before, like the messages kind of just got stale and they weren't really playing up to the potential. I think Marlo is just fine. I'm not worried about Marcus Peters' injury. I think he's going to come back 100%. He's going to be just fine. We have 2 really good corners. I'm not worried about it, man, at all.
The only thing that I'm worried about is, was it Wink's message that got stale or John's?
Yeah.
Because John is back.
And shout out to Justin P, man. Make sure you subscribe to him. KTSE Sports Talk with Justin P. He said, I wouldn't be opposed to taking a tackle in the 1st round. Wouldn't be opposed, man. We need. Do you want to keep Lamar upright or not? That's all I want to know. Right? Like why are we? I mean, and not Justin P. Like he wants to get a tackle, but I'm just saying, like, the people that are just like, let's go edge rusher in the 1st round, get a right tackle later. Like, why do you keep wanting to downgrade one of the most important positions for us right now? Yeah. Right? Like, there's nothing more important than making sure the O-line is straight. If we get a tackle, that's good, but then it turns out Juwan James is really good, or Pat McCarry is really good. So what? Then now we have extra tackles that can play, and we can rotate them in, or maybe one can play a different position on the line. I don't care. That's a good problem to have. I'd rather have that than to be like, turns out Juwan James is he's pretty much done. Pat McCarry is just a guy, and we're in trouble. We still can't block because you can't find anybody. It's much harder to trade for a good tackle during the season than it is an edge rusher. I mean, we got Ngakoue during the season last year, right? Mm-hmm. You can get somebody that's solid right there, but if you mess up on the O-line, you're stuck.
Yeah. And, I know a big thing for people is, hey, you saw what happened in the Super Bowl. The Rams had 7 sacks. Aaron Donald got the hurry and hit that ended the game. And that's kind of, you see people saying, hey, defense wins championships, right? A couple of years ago, it was the same thing or last year, it was the same thing with the Chiefs, right? Hey, that D-line really got after Mahomes. They couldn't get anything going. They held them to 9 points. Defense wins championships. Now, that's fine if your plan is to play Cincinnati 17 times next year,
right?
Because they have one of the worst lines in the league, but that's just not the norm.
Right.
You're not going to be able to get after the quarterback like that every week. The Rams wouldn't have been able to get after him if they, had a decent O-line. That's the what you saw was a horrible O-line going up against elite pass rush.
Yeah. That's
not the goal. What Ravens fans are talking about, they're not talking about getting an elite pass rush. They're talking about being the horrible O-line. Right. Why don't you look at the other side of it with the Rams, right? The Rams could not run the ball. What Baltimore loves to do. It got completely shut down in that Super Bowl. But guess what? They had Cooper Kupp. And Cooper Kupp dominated the second half of that game and won them that Super Bowl. That's why he was Super Bowl MVP. Odell Beckham dominated the beginning of that game. That's why they had the lead to begin with. Why don't you look at that instead of saying, hey, man, if we get an Aaron Donald, then we can get after the quarterback. You're not going to get Aaron Donald, and you're not going to play an O-line like the Bengals every week. Yeah. That's not how it's going to go. You can't rely on run game and get after the quarterback to get you anywhere. That's what the Ravens have done for the past 4 years, and it hasn't worked.
Yeah. And I want to address this right here. Shout out to King95. That's a Pugo. That's you, King of Pugo. I know you. Changing your name up on us. You ain't going to fool us. But he brings up the question. And look, a lot of people, are thinking about this. He says, y'all taking Kyle Hamilton if he drops? Now, I'll say this. If he dropped to us at 14, why would you want him? I'm saying because people look at Kyle Hamilton as, like that dude at safety. Like he could be like a special player at safety. If he's a special player, he ain't dropping to 14.
Well, no, I mean, he could, right? Derwin James dropped to 17 or 18 or whatever it was. And
he still has a potential, but he's not that guy.
Well, no, but he is that guy. He just gets hurt a lot.
Yeah.
That's the problem there. But, there are a lot of bad GMs and team needs play into that as well.
But
so, I mean, he could fall. You're talking about, you could see 3 or 4 edge rushers, 3 or 4 tackles, and a few quarterbacks go, and he could just fall, right?
Yeah.
But the answer to whether or not you want Kyle Hamilton is, what did you do in free agency?
Well, yeah. Well, for me, I don't think we could do enough in free agency to say yes, for me to say yes. And shout out to Tony Hendo for making another donation. He says, at least we have a franchise QB. Yes.
Thank you, Tony.
Yes. But no, look, that is the first question. Like, what do we do in free agency? Because for me, what it would take for me to be okay with just going defense is we went and got a tackle. We went and got a center. At the very least, if we got a right tackle that we know can play, we got a center like Ryan Jensen. I'm okay because I know Ronnie Stanley's coming back. I don't have any doubt about Ronnie Stanley coming back and playing to his All Pro form. I would feel comfortable then, right? Yeah. But also, I still want us to get a wide receiver. So right. if we don't go wide receiver in free agency, I would still want us to draft the best wide receiver available. But yes. now if we say, okay, we are going to bring in AB. Okay, cool. You took care of the O-line. You brought in AB. You want to go defense, man? Go defense. Have fun with
Yeah,
it.
if Baltimore goes and gets Trent Brown and they sign Ryan Jensen to take care of the O-line, and then let's say they go and get, just throwing out a name. Let's say they go and get Amari Cooper, or
or
if
Calvin
somebody,
Ridley.
I know he's going to
Ridley.
be, if you trade for Calvin Ridley, or somebody gets cut and they, because I know that Amari's going to cost a lot, Chris Godwin's going to cost a lot. They probably can't get that done, but if you go out and get a good, solid starting wide receiver in free agency, and you get Trent Brown and you get Ryan Jensen, just as an example, go ahead and take whoever you want.
Yeah.
I would say even at that point, go ahead and trade up and try and get Kayvon Thibodeau, or Kyle Hamilton, whoever it is you like. But if you take care of those needs, you take care of the O-line, fully take care of the O-line, and you upgrade the wide receivers, and take whoever.
Well, yeah, but like you touched on it. It ain't take whoever. Trade up and get the best player possible.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, target whoever it is you want.
What I want us to do is be aggressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Offense or defense. I mean, one, take care of offense. You already know how our saying around here. Hashtag defund the defense, right?
Yes.
Offense eats first. So, but if they do all those things, assuming they did all that in free agency, actually that'd be the preferred thing to do. Get guys that you know without a doubt can block and can catch, right?
Yeah.
If they did that, then I would say, all right, we got first round, second round, 2 third rounds, 5 fourth rounds, nine picks in the first 4 rounds. That's what EDC was toting. Man, we need a package and move up. And yes, get Kayvon Thibodeau. Get somebody that can be a real game changer on that defense. Be aggressive, man. Be aggressive. So yeah. In that case, or look, Kyle Hamilton, fine. I'm fine with that. And shout out to Anonymous. Man, you guys have been blessing us with these donations, man. Thank you guys so much. Anonymous says, how many picks on the O-line will the Ravens have?
I'm gonna guess 3. My hope is that they really hit the O-line in free agency, but I'm not sure they're going to.
I think they are going to address it in free agency. I'm going to say 1. I think, man, they understand that they have to protect Lamar. I don't know.
I don't think they do.
I think
if they understood it, Alejandro Villanueva would not be on this roster.
I think he's going to be cut.
No. I mean, last year he would not have been on this roster.
Yeah. I think they understand now. I think I don't want them to re-sign Bradley Bozeman, but I can see them doing it. They'll either get Bradley Bozeman or they get a center. They'll draft a tackle, probably not first round, right? But I don't think they're gonna spend too many picks. Maybe two, right? Because while I'm saying they need to trade up, we don't really trade up. We like to trade back and get 15 picks. So yeah, maybe 2.
I think they go O-line in the first round, and then I think they pick up another couple in the on day 3.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that they go really hard in free agency at O-line. I think they're going to spend their money on defense. I think they're going to go and get some D linemen. I think they'll probably get a veteran corner to fill in a bit. Okay. And then they go into the draft. First round, it'll be like Linderbaum or one of the tackles if they're there. And then, skip ahead to day 3, take one maybe in the 4th round and then one a little later.
Okay.